The suspension on the R34 GTR is going active. I can guarantee nobody in the United States of America has what I'm about to put on this car. Imagine on the fly being able to adjust and tune your suspension by using the Bluetooth on your phone. We're showing up to WRT Technica, and we are about to make some magic happen. I think I said that wrong. WR Technica. And ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the JRZ coilovers that will be going on the R34 GTR. Pulling out of the box right now. This box is absolutely beautiful right here. JRZ suspension. It's gonna be the first time I've ever seen it. I haven't even unboxed it myself. The wonderful guys here at WR Technica will be making it happen. All the instructions, everything is all perfectly put right in here. We got the 34 GTR right behind us. It's gonna be cool. And so much in here. Because this is active suspension, there's wiring, there's other things that go into this that make it happen. You know, there's just so many parts and pieces. It's not your standard coilovers. Very, very expensive kit, not cheap, not for the weak-hearted. Because it came from Europe, everything's in European standard stuff. Meters, no American inches and feet. How beautiful this is. So here's everything right here in this JRZ kit, their active suspension for the R34 GTR. Got all the coilover stuff, they got all the wiring for it. I mean, there's so many different parts and pieces all going into this car, replacing my HKS Hypermax coilovers that I've been having on the car since 2022. Right now we got the wheels right off of the car, and the first part of this whole entire installation process is to get the HKS Hypermax coilovers off of my R34 GTR. They've done a great job for me. I've done a lot of track racing with these things. Fuji Speedway to Scuba Circuit, Suzuka Circuit. I've been everywhere with these coilovers, but their time has come. It is time to upgrade to a better coilover, an active suspension coilover. We'll go over all the details with that thing as we go through this video. You know, we're saying goodbye to these coilovers, which, you know, once again, they did a pretty solid job. It wasn't enough for me. I needed something better, and that is why I'm upgrading from the HKS Hypermax coilovers to the JRZ active suspension for the R34 GTR. Taking out the rear suspension, the coilovers, you gotta remove the seats, right? So we got the bottom part of my rear seat out. They're working on taking off the back part of the rear seat just so they can be able to access it and be able to get these rear coilovers out of there, because when you're adjusting your rear coilovers, there's these little knobs in the back and you gotta kind of wire all that stuff to the right place. So anyways, they're working on that right now. Now the back part of the rear seat is out. So that is all out now. That's what an R34 GTR looks like with no rear seats. Weight reduction. I could keep it like that, but I'm not crazy. So right here, we have basically like the head, the computer that controls pretty much everything with the suspension, and let Will kind of describe kind of what it does, what it's for.
Yeah, basically it's the yaw sensor, and you have to install it in a certain orientation on the car.
So if it was off a little bit, it could disrupt like how the suspension is working with the car.
Exactly. So also you can have it in a dynamic mode, or you can program it. And this is the Bluetooth module. You can actually connect to it, and then you can have a preset, either run a certain dynamic, or you can run a certain setting. So if you want it a little bit more comfortable, you want it a little bit more stiff, you know, the car will do that for you.
You can edit it on the fly and then just boom, we'll change it.
Correct.
Super cool. It's very interesting, very high tech for a 25-year-old Nissan. Those things are super long. HKS Hypermax coilovers coming out. Got the first one out on the right rear. That is pretty long. Holy moly. You can see the difference between the HKS Hypermax and then this JRZ active suspension right here. So this coilover right here, obviously there's more components to it than this. My old one is more basic, it's more complicated. So we're looking at right here just the differences between the JRZ and the Hypermax coilover, right? As you can clearly see, there's a bit of a difference here, obviously between the springs. So there's obviously a difference between the spring rates between both of them, just with the way both coilovers are made and designed. So there's a lot more technology here in this JRZ RS Pro coilover, and you can see right here, you got the name right there, RS Pro. But definitely a lot more technology and more things for this one. You can adjust this in so many more ways than you can. This is basically kind of just a single adjustable coilover, whereas this is multi. You can do it, there's so many different ways. Manually, through the app, you basically have an app that you can use on your phone, which, you know, talks to this, and then you adjust the suspension as far as like the dampering rates, all these different things you can adjust on there basically through your phone, which is kind of nice. So we got the first JRZ coilover in right now, looking oh so good. It's nice and clean, all in there. I cannot wait to experience what this thing feels like on the street and the track. We also had to poke a little hole right in there. You know, a little bit of fabbing having to happen here, but it's all good. I'll do it for these coilovers because they are some of the best out there, and I'm so pumped to try these out. And I'll kind of show you what this hole looks like through here. So we had to poke this hole so we could basically get this through, get this wiring through, get this for the canister and all that stuff. But it's all good, it's clean, it works. And now the second Hypermax coilover is gonna be coming out. We're on the left rear right now. So this is gonna be coming out here in just a moment so that we can get the next JRZ RS Pro in. Super cool looking on the inner workings of the R34 GTR. You can see my beautiful Mines titanium exhaust right there. So the second Hypermax coilover is out, which means the next JRZ RS Pro is going in. On to the next. Still got the fronts to do, so we're working on those right now. We can see the nice clean hole put together right here so that we could basically get this line all the way through routed. Because of how the suspension is, we needed to route a line through, and the only way to do it properly is to, you know, create a little hole. So it's nice and clean and it looks pretty good. This line, that hole right there, we had to do it on both sides. So now it is routed all properly and all good, and it looks nice and clean, so that we could basically hook up the little canisters, which are right there and right there. Those will get put in here. Right front coilover for the Hypermax HKS is out, and now the JRZ RS Pro will be going in. HKS Hypermax coilover is off the car. It's all off now. Everything is JRZ on the R34 GTR. coilovers in different locations. Because this kit for this car can kind of be customized in different ways, you just got to kind of find what works for your car, right? Some cars come in street car mode, some cars come in race car mode, some cars don't have all this extra stuff, so it just depends. Every car is different, so you just gonna kind of find what works for you. We're gonna use some different areas where we have some pockets where we can put these canisters here. These canisters are filled with nitrogen, which helps support the entire suspension system. But we found some different locations we're going to basically use up here in this little pocket right there, and then we have another pocket up front that we're going to use up there on the front right, on the right front, that we'll use to store these. We'll make little brackets or whatever so these things can be secured and they're not like moving around a whole bunch. So we're pretty much about halfway through this install of the JRZ RS Pro coilovers, the active suspension on the R34 GTR. It's been coming along pretty nicely. We've been working at this for about 4 hours now. Right now, just fabricating some brackets so that we can properly secure these little nitrogen canisters up front of the car. These canisters go to each corner of the car for each coilover, and you gotta secure them so that they're not rolling around or hitting things and stuff like that. But I'm super impressed with how this kit was made. Looks beautiful. I can't wait to feel this thing. Once we get all this stuff installed, then we will also put in the little ECU, I would say the computer, the brain of all the active suspension that will get installed. It has to be wired, right? You got to connect it to its power, you got to connect it to this and that, blah blah blah, all the stuff you have to do to make sure that the all four corners speak to each other actively. So yeah, very interesting suspension. It's the first time I've ever had to deal with this, so I'm learning along the way. I don't know all the different terms and names and things for for it. I'm so used to just normal coilovers, so this is definitely different for me, but very excited to get this on. And you know, super big thanks to JRZ for even offering it as an option, right? I didn't even know it was a thing, but now I have it and now I'm putting it on the car, and I look forward to other people potentially getting it for their cars as well. So can't wait to get this thing on track and test it, do all that. But for right now, yeah, just continuing on the install. We got a few more hours left to go. We also are going to get it aligned as well today. And once we get it aligned, the car will be optimized for grip. So yes, all will be well. So the brainchild of the whole thing going in. Try to figure out good spots to kind of.
Yeah, that'll kind of have to be the spot right there. It's just
yeah.
So we're basically trying to get this computer for the whole system, find a good spot to mount it. We're going to mount it here in the back of the car, but also put it in a good spot where it doesn't receive too many vibrations and whatnot. So yeah, this is what we're aiming for right here.
So we have external reservoir number 1 for the right side, for this right front coilover right here is installed in place. You got brackets in there secured, so the thing is not going to be all flopping around or anything funky like that. We're working on the second one over there to get that installed. You got a bracket that's going to secure that thing in place so it's all nice and tight. Both canisters are installed, we're routing this wiring, these lines all the way back, right to the rear of the car?
yeah.
All right, yeah, so routing the wiring back so you can connect everything. Everything is running in a system. All works together, all 4 corners of the car. So once the nitrogen canisters, these small reservoirs that go to pretty much each corner of the car, which is for each coilover, once all that's set, which is set now, at least on the fronts, now he's routing the wiring, right? So this wiring is going back around and everything. Like I mentioned before, there's a little brain to the whole system. That brain is that little black box that's installed in the trunk of the car, and then that talks to all 4 corners to adjust what needs to be adjusted when it needs to be adjusted actively, whether I'm doing it through the Bluetooth on my phone and I'm on the app adjusting things, or I put it in dynamic mode and I let it do its thing so it can figure out what's best for the car while I'm driving. But right now they're getting it wired up, right? This is the next portion of everything. Once the wiring's complete, from there I think they need to install the other couple, or at least secure the other couple reservoirs, canister thingies in the rear part of the car. Once those are secured, everything should for the most part be together, I believe. So we'll 3D print something super cool so that we can mount the little brain of the whole system.
Otherwise, there's a step right here, and we just like basically fill that up, step it up. Now there's a better contact patch on here.
Alrighty, so we got all 4 corners of the coilovers all hooked up. Got wiring in there, things are wired up, and now it's time to just kind of look at a little bit of a baseline of the alignment, right? We're gonna look at ride heights and figure out where everything's at, where it's settling down at, try to figure out. As you can see, the ride heights just initially, just without doing any kind of correction at all. You can see the fronts are basically sitting at kind of where they were before, probably a little bit higher maybe. Rear definitely sitting a lot lower right now, but this is before any kind of adjustments at all. So no adjustments have been made, just sitting at the ride heights this thing just came with. Adjustments will happen starting soon. So here's the part where they adjust the suspension, right? We're gonna adjust the ride heights. We're gonna get the alignment done on the car, work on camber, toe, caster, all that fun stuff. Right now, we're just trying to get the ride heights where it needs to be. The ride height I'm looking for, I'm not looking for a car that's gonna be super slammed to the ground. I'm looking for a car that is going to be functional so I can drive it on the street and the track. So it's gonna be just low enough where it gives it a nice look. It's gonna be low enough where the center of gravity is low, but also at the same time, not trying to have this thing slammed to the ground because then I'm not functional on the street and it'll be very difficult to drive. So right now we're trying to get those ride heights level at the ride height that I like, which pretty much the last ride height I had with the HKS coilovers, that was like perfect for me. I could drive pretty much anywhere I wanted to drive and it was all good. I never had any scraping issues, anything like that. Any lower than where I was at, and then that's when you start introducing scraping problems. Take a quick look at how these little nitrogen canisters are put in here. So you can see these reservoirs tucked in there looking nice, perfectly mounted in there, secured properly. The setup is good. So alignment time, getting the alignment done on the car, checking out kind of the initial settings of the car. You can see right here what the initial settings were. Car was a little bit out of spec, but we'll get it right. So you can see up front had like negative 2.8 degrees of camber, and the rear was 0.3 or something like that, I believe. I don't know. I'm trying to read this. But anyways, working on getting this all done. He's working on it now. Try to get the alignment done properly so this thing can be optimizing its grip through the corner, on the street, you name it. As he makes the adjustments, you can see right there on the screen, every click, every turn gets it way more accurate. And all this is getting information fed from these instruments connected to the wheels. Those lasers hitting them, basically trying to figure out, okay, what's the camber like? What's the caster like? What's the toe like? What's everything like? That's what that's doing. So making adjustments right now on the fronts, getting the toe, getting the camber, getting all that stuff right. The wiring is almost complete. Just getting the final little bit done in here and inside the car as well for the Bluetooth side of it, because this is active suspension that can be edited through the app. All right, so we just got done with the install. Everything's all good. You just did your test drive. You felt it. What's your thoughts on the entire install for this JRZ RS Pro active suspension on the R34 GTR?
Wow, that was a lot. Overall, it was really fun, straightforward, easy. It's just routing a lot of wires, being careful. Such a prestigious car, but it came out fantastic, as you can see. And it rides great. Can't wait to get your feedback on the track.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking this to the track and filling it out, and seeing what the difference is between this and upgrading basically to this from the HKS Hypermax coilovers. So should be a pretty big upgrade. Should help keep the car more flat through the corners, and then I'll be able to adjust it and dial it in. Each track I could have different settings. When I go to Laguna Seca, it's one thing. Button Willow, another thing. You name it. Yeah, so I'm pumped. Thanks. time to get on the road and fill out this car for the first time now with the JRZ RS Pro active suspension. This is the RS Pro 3s. So yeah, this is my first time driving any car with JRZs on it. I got convinced to get this suspension from Will here at WR Technica. Big thanks to these guys for doing this install, staying up late. I mean, this is basically, we spent about 12 hours, almost 12 hours, about 11-ish hours or so working on this. Maybe if you don't count lunch, 10 hours. 10 hours working on this with professionals, and that's including installing it, getting all the wiring done, and getting the thing aligned, getting the right height done, everything. So full on deal. This is definitely not something that's quick, but it worked, and I'm super pumped to see how everything turns out. Yeah, I can't wait to jump in and drive it. And you know, right now I'm just gonna drive it on the street home. I got about an hour drive home, so I get an hour to feel it out. I'll talk to you a little bit about it in the car, let you know my thoughts. It'll be hard to see me because it's gonna be really dark, but it's all good. You'll be able to hear my voice. All right, so I've been driving for just a little bit less than an hour, and honestly, this suspension feels so good. I don't even have this thing completely dialed in because there's so many settings that you can mess with. I'm gonna do a whole nother video where I go through all the different settings, I mess with it, I show you guys and girls what the different options are on the app, because you can use, basically it's like a Bluetooth app. You use the app on your phone, you can adjust the way the suspension feels with the car. There's a plethora of, it's not like just a couple buttons, it's not like you can just click soft, medium, or hard or something like that. You can get really, really detailed in there to get the optimal feel that you want for street driving, track driving, you name it. And I'm really gonna dive in and show you guys all what's involved with that. Right now it's just more of just kind of getting home because it's kind of late. I got stuff I need to do at home, but so far, just first feel, just driving, it feels good. It's very solid. My biggest fear at first was I was wondering, like, man, is it going to be too rigid? I don't know. Honestly, it feels great. It feels like a brand new car. It feels like, you know, some high-end suspension like you have in like the C8 Z06 with the magnetic ride and so on. So I'm super pumped about having this. I cannot wait till I really start dialing this car in and messing around with it and seeing how versatile it is and how much you can really optimize the suspension for whatever your liking is. So yeah, separate videos coming for that, for street driving, for canyon driving, and even for going to the track. I got a whole bunch of stuff I'm gonna do. So very much looking forward to what comes next after this. But man, it's been fun. Thank you all for tuning in. I know it's been a little bit of a longer video, but all your views, all your everything, support is very much appreciated. So make sure you leave a comment on what your thoughts are. If you're looking for suspension like this, let me know. I have a website you can actually order this stuff from, so I can definitely help you out. Or if you're looking for other style suspension from JRZ, let me know and I can help you out. But anyways, that's all I got for you guys tonight. Have a good one, rest up, and see you on the next video.